Joining me now from New York City is Ian Reifowitz of Empire State College of the State University of New York. He's professor of historical studies. Ian, we've been checking with you every couple of weeks, every few days. So here we are the Friday after Election Day. What is your sense on where things stand right now? What's your take?
Well, thanks for having me. We've got a pretty solid indication that the remaining votes to be counted in Pennsylvania, as well as Nevada, are going to come in for Joe Biden significantly. Pennsylvania especially, and even Nevada because they're coming in from Clark County. So right there, you've got enough to clinch the presidency for Joe Biden. In Arizona, we've had some of the numbers come in today that have not come in at the levels that Donald Trump needs in order for him to catch up to Joe Biden there. So I think Arizona, again, we don't have all of the ballots yet, but it looks like that's going to go Biden's way as well. Georgia will be a toss-up, but that's in a sense icing on the cake. It would make things smoother for Biden and for the country, frankly, if Biden came in somewhere above 270, which is why I think it would be helpful if he had both Pennsylvania and Arizona called. That would put him, I believe, at 290 electoral votes. We'll have to see if that happens. We're going to see Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, I believe, speak tonight at 9 p.m. I do think Biden, even if the networks haven't officially called it for him, and I think he won't get out in front of the networks, especially the Associated Press, but I think he'll have some language about how the time has come to recognize that the results are going in a certain direction, and that the country needs to start coming together around that direction.
Well, Ian, I want to ask you about calling this election. I mean, we really haven't seen this situation before. What do you make of the decision to call or not call the race? Is it because the votes are so close still? I mean, when do you think we'll hear something? And who makes the call?
I'm a historian. I'm not a mathematician, so I can't get into the reasoning why certain networks are calling Arizona, particularly the Associated Press and Fox News, and others have not. I think there's, to some degree, a reluctance to be the first network to declare Joe Biden president. You would think, on the other hand, that would be something that networks would try to do, to be first. But I think now that they've waited 2 or 3 days, and also because they've seen how angry the Trump White House got at Fox for being the first ones to call Arizona, I don't think any of them want to put their necks out too far too quickly. They're all just being very careful. But if you watch the networks and you listen to their math guys and their math women, they're also almost winking and saying, look, we know it's going to Biden in Pennsylvania. We know it's going to Biden in Arizona. We know it's going to Biden in Nevada. We just need a few more thousand ballots to come in so that we can say it and not have people say, well, why are you calling it too soon? Because Fox did call Arizona first, and I think they've taken some heat for that. But from what I've seen and looking at the numbers and where those outstanding ballots are in places like Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania, Las Vegas and Clark County, Nevada, there's just no way around the fact that Joe Biden is going to be the next president of the United States.
I got to ask you about international reaction. How are countries outside the U.S. viewing this process, what is happening right now, and who they could possibly be dealing with in January?
I don't think that the slowness of the count is having any kind of particular impact around the world. I think the fact that the streets of the United States have remained calm and peaceful. There was some fear before the election. You saw stores being boarded up. There's been none of that. There's been no violence or glass breaking, even in any kind of significant way that I've seen. So I don't think that's having any kind of impact. If anything, I think the world and the country is pleasantly surprised that there hasn't been anything yet. So it's not so much the slowness. I do think the world has seen Donald Trump speak in fairly irresponsible ways. In some ways, that's maybe a benefit of him having spoken so irresponsibly for the past 4 years. People know what to expect, frankly, when Donald Trump speaks. They know that sometimes or often he speaks in ways that are not consistent with facts. And so they take what he says with a grain of salt. And so, look, nothing is over until it's over in terms of assessing how the American people are dealing with the situation. My hope is that by being patient, by waiting until all the votes are counted, that when there is a result, that the American people will accept it. And other than maybe a handful of people who are going to be upset, many of them in the White House, we're going to have a peaceful transition in this country.